have to actually edge slightly with Spirit, though. I think Dust 2 definitely favors them the way that we've seen Spirit being playing. I think they'll probably win both of their maps. At that point, all they need is that, elusive third. So I'm going to edge just with Spirit, but there are a lot of sort of caveats and asterisks alongside that. We need to have Dexter popping off like he did yesterday.
Yeah, I live in Ukraine, so it would feel wrong to go any other way. Like I don't want to upset the people I'm living around. So yeah, I would actually go with Spirit as well. I think that FPX still have a lot to prove, but then again, both teams do. And I think on sheer firepower, especially with the first few maps we have coming up, there is real potential here for Spirit. But nonetheless, we are into our grand final. Dexter and Mir actually already looking to probe a little bit, but a late take into mid could make things interesting for the CTs that are so aggressive.
Yeah, that smoke does afford Dexter the luxury of staying around a little bit longer as well, so they are looking for that information, but Madden has been unleashed, and he just piles straight into the site. Zen with another one before Dexter silences him. Has been tagged at range from spawn, but the bomb site has been taken, and the bomb has been planted down. So in this 3v4, HP bar's not looking too healthy for Spirit. And Farlig now has put down the one healthy element of it in the form of Mia, but Magix and Dexter instantly go right back in to bring us down to a 2-on-2. Stiko on 2 HP. Both players are stuck in tunnels. And the fact that they've now cleared the site out will give them a good idea as to this being the case. They're just being absolutely careful, though. Having a look down middle, but Magix on the double peek gets both headshots. And with barely any HP, Spirit get it done.
Unbelievable start from him once again. He was the difference maker in the match yesterday. I still remember a point where we were looking at Sis, and I think it was 10 kills above anybody else within the server. And by the end, I think this man finished at the top of the board. And you have to think back to the beginning of this tournament as well, Vince, where Team Spirit did not have Magix in their starting lineup for Dust 2 the first time they played it.
Jeez. And he was that main heavy hitter yesterday, wasn't he? That got them across the finish line against Big. 4th best team in the world. That's unbelievable, isn't it?
I guess it's evidence of maybe a few teething issues here and there. And of course, we've got the same on the other side. Chris J coming in, taking over some of the in-game leader roles, although he has said he's had a lot of support. Now, it is just some deagles in this round, and, well, a bomb plant is what they're attempting, but the goose position, probably one of the toughest to clear, and Team Spirit do a fantastic job. Not a single point of damage, holding on to some of their utility, every weapon carried forward, but this is where things truly get started, and, well, you have to consider Farlig actually already has enough to buy it straight in with an AWP, so the AWP battle is going to start as early as round 3.
And this, for me, is the most tantalizing prospect on the server. To see how the two of them come down to it. Farlig, well, no, a player just round the corner, but he's about to get smoked off and flashed. So good utility tossed in by Spirit. Slight gap in the smoke on middle, and Dexter, he won't miss his chance. Madden goes down without much of a fight, more of a whimper. FPX already on the back foot. Still plenty of time, and they still have 3 of their smokes, but that's a big part of the puzzle that goes with Madden.
The push attempting to come in through long. Now, Chopper only has an SMG. Even a kill here for him, I would say, is a pretty big success. And Mir has actually gone down elsewhere. Good opportunity. It's a little bit of a whiff, but he gets away with it. Switching up to the Deeg, but Stiko is there for the trade. Keeping things even for now. Could see that Magix definitely wanted to try and peek back in there, but the risk definitely not worth taking. And Zen seems to have a pretty good idea where his opponent's coming from. A solid read, and he alone has brought this round back into contention.
An issue, though, is they only have 1 smoke for the cross, unless there's a secondary smoke down on one of the corpses of Long. 1 smoke for the cross may not be good enough, so they need Zen to have a bit of impact here. And he's looking to wrap through CT side. This will bypass the lack of smoke, allows them both to focus their attention up on Catwalk instead. But Dexter with his AWP could be peaking momentarily. 23 seconds. Fun plus Phoenix, they have a bit of time, but they need to get a move on. They're keeping Farlig posted up on Long. So this is down to the bomb carrier of Stiko to get across to the site. And Dexter has a pretty good angle, but he has now been smoked off by Stiko. And that is the key part of the round that allows the bomb plant to come in. And honestly, with that smoke, I'm not even sure that Spirit go for this now. As good as Dexter and Magix are, as confident as they'll be, If this first pick doesn't go their way quickly, they may have to turn around. And it has. Magix puts the bullet in Zen's head, and now they can both move in together. Not too much time on the bomb is ticked away, so there's plenty with their 2 kits to get back onto the site with and make some magic happen. Flash will be finding its way onto Longside, lands in the eyes of Farlick, who gets traded out, and now Stico has to hold on alone. They've done it. The 2v3 clutch from Spirit somehow works out.
It just seems the synergy between these players for people who've been together for such a short amount of time is almost perfect. The flashbang that came through, Farlig, well, I think they could have waited another couple of seconds and he still wouldn't have seen a thing. And just instant headshots, instant AWP shots connected. That is wonderful stuff from Team Spirit. And it's also worth mentioning that although Magix was phenomenal on this map yesterday, for the majority, Dexter was actually pretty quiet. Like, he was very, very far behind his counterpart of Searson yesterday. So if he's getting off to a flying start as well, that's where this team truly does become unstoppable. Because the depth of talent within Team Spirit, I'd go as far to say it may be better than any other team in the tournament.
So many flashes, 4 or 5 in quick succession, but Sunday Young still with 2, and that's the bomb that goes down with them. They only have deagles and pistols at their disposal, and Mia is going to put them in the body bags. Great spray. Sure, it wasn't a full investment from FPX, but the way that Spirit held that line, that's going to build their confidence up.
My silence 10-4 doesn't work like that. I'm telling you now. Like, there's about 17 bullets in the wall. Maybe I kill the first person and then that's it. Completely overwhelmed. We're going to see a purchase back up again. Now, it's not gone great for FPX so far. Money already starting to build on Team Spirit's side. Dexter, I don't think he spotted the cross. He's going to have to flick back pretty quickly. It looks like Mir's going to take the battle instead. However, Stico gets a pretty easy frag and actually just opts to fall away. So a fantastic start in this round for FunPlus, and they're going to look to try and pressure onto short control as well. Now, there's been a switch up of positions because of the B push coming in from Dexter. Some Young now looks to try and man short. The double AWP may not be ideal for these sort of rounds unless he's going to be given multiple opportunities. He might be caught jumping and, in fact, gets absolutely nothing on the take. A 3v5, an afterplant, very likely indeed. And I question what Team Spirit will even do in this sort of situation.
Well, I almost wrote them off in the last round. They got a clutch. But I think this is an entirely different ball game. A 3v5, make that 2v5 as the Finn flicks onto Magix, dead before he hits the ground. No, it's definitely a save. And to go back to what you were touching on before, Tom, and you absolutely were nailing it, that when you look at the 2 AWPers, when Big played against Spirit, Searson had 15 frags more than Dexter and double his rating. Dexter had the 2nd lowest rating on the server. Now, that sounds really negative, but I'm going to spin it in a positive way. They still won that game. So if Dexter is starting off like this, 5-0, 126 ADR, there's so many gears and so many elements that Spirit can bring to the table that FPX are going to have to desperately repel.
Yeah, that's basically the way I was trying to spin it as well. It's like, if you can win a map without arguably your greatest of all the stars, and now he's starting to play, I would worry for FPX. But then again, you look at all the teams that they played so far, and we said that in every single bracket. Like, when they faced off against EG, we were like, oh, if the stars perform, there's nothing they can do. Well, they did incredibly well at just nullifying all of those stars. Chris J, his aggression, is something that EG especially really struggled with, but Mir, it's almost like trying to play him at his own game. That's the Mir play. That's my push. You can't steal that one away. And the rest of the team still trying to pincer. You have to be a bit wary as well of the position of the bomb, because if there's a push through that smoke on CT, which I wouldn't be surprised if there is, it could have got caught. They do fall back, however, and now Madden has actually done well to get into this site. There needs to be a kill from Young, and somehow they've got this back into a 3v3.
Oh, that smoke just cleared in time. I think it may have hurt Chopper more than it actually helped him. He wanted to go out wide swing and get up close and try and put a bit of a screw in the back of FPX, but post plant now comes in. Slight advantage on HP, but there is a lot of utility. 2 incendiaries, a smoke, a couple of flashes, but they're all moving in the same location. It's all through tunnels. And Zen spots the first pick, but he actually misses his shot. Won't be missing on the second time of asking, and there it is again. Now, he doesn't expect all 3 to be from tunnels, but Magic's, he doesn't want to even go for this now. He knows he has to save, so he can't make the most of that. And it seemed a bit disjointed to me there, Tom. Like, you have flashes, you have a bit of utility, yet you're just basically dry peeking the back boxes in a 3v3. Like, you have to assume one of the 3 players is back there watching it.
Yeah, I think... Oh, is he going to get away? Yeah, running around behind him. Yeah, the time ticks away. But the thing that confuses me more is in the 5v3, how Madden manages to make it through the door. Like, you have to bear in mind that there were 2 players towards CT that were almost just waiting. They should have caught him. And I feel like the teammates almost expected there to be no one there because it looked very easy for him to just walk into the site and find the first pick. And then some young, well, you're surrounded by 3 players and you have an AWP. Like, sure, I reckon he probably should have still got one of them, but I'm not going to blame him so much for the flaw. But that's a case where you're in a 5 versus 3, you've got 2 picks towards that B site, and somehow they still managed to get through middle and through tunnels without any level of rotation in time. So I feel like Team Spirit are going to feel a little bit disappointed in that one because that round was definitely thrown away.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And Sumdat Young has started well with the secondary AWP, so that missed shot on the site was quite surprising. As he said, he needed to get 1. He didn't. But Magic's up close with the MP9 will be pressured. There's 1 and 2. The MP9 rips through 2 AKs. And to make matters worse for FPX, Dexter is locking it down from the site. I cannot believe that Magic's is still alive.
I feel like the last few days have just been him making a statement. Like, he had a bad day, he came back, they put him into a map that they previously had put Patsy in for, and now, if they ever remove him from playing Dust 2 again, I think I'll go on strike as a commentator, because he's been unbelievable, but versus both Big and now so far versus FPX. Like, to win 2 duels there makes absolutely no sense, and you do have to look at FPX and go, okay, you should have traded that kill, but he still has to hit the shots. Farlig turning his head, he's given it away to Chopper, and they come back in a round where, well, it was definitely, like, how does Zen actually not kill Chopper there?
Question is probably bouncing in his own mind right now.
Farlig just like, you all right? It just, how did it, maybe he was just tucked so far into the corner he didn't see it, but yeah, in this case, yeah, he's right behind him.
Well, that is CS in a nutshell, isn't it? You're right, the highs of taking that B in a 3v5, then you instantly get pummeled, and a clean sweep from Spirit. And there's Dexter for another flick. There's no doubt he's shown up to play today. Chris J with his first frag, but it opens up short. An impactful frag, looking to try and take off the head of the aggressive Chopper, but it's Chopper, the IGL, that has his hand raised high. And you'll hope that's the case later on today, once all the talking and bullets have been spent. Farlig, only 1 kill with 15 ADR, and he's had an AWP multiple times. Oh, the timing could not have been worse, and it goes from bad to worse as Magix now takes down Zen, leaving it all on Stiko, and he doesn't even have the bomb. This has been a brutal couple rounds now for Fun plus Phoenix, and as good as Stiko is, and the fact that he's got the first pick is all well and good, but he's down to 34 HP. Surely, this is a pretty comfortable round, but if Mir pushes into him, maybe not. Maybe this 1v3 is possible.
That's such a silly play. These are some that we've seen from Spirit throughout, where rounds just slip away from them for overly aggressive pushes. You have the bomb, you know where your opponent is. No, Sticko's gonna clutch it out. Perfect from Sticko, but you have to look at Team Spirit there. How have you let that round slip away? And oh dear, you cannot give those sort of opportunities. Like, this first battle is forgivable. Mir, what are you doing? Like, you know where the bomb is. You've got to, it's smoked by your teammate, and you let Sticko in the door, and he slams it shut in your face.
Yeah, it really is one of those cases where I don't want to take anything away from Sticko, because the fact is you clutched the 1v3. That last shot was crispy. He had really good positioning. He played it pretty much spot on. But there is definitely an element of looking across the Team Spirit and being like, guys, come on now. That was your 6-2 chance. That was your chance to build up your economy. And instead, you've pretty much thrown it all away. You got 2 MP9s. I think Dexter will probably have an AWP, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. You get to see an ace on Dust too. Really?
I'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. You know, Dexter has an AWP this round. It's definitely possible. Farlig being off to a quiet start is definitely a bit of a worry, but the fact that they've just managed to win a round that really shouldn't have gone anywhere near them, you almost sort of set it up perfectly. Like, yeah, they've been getting battered, and then Sticko just does that. It's like that could completely change things. Dust 2 definitely momentum based. We're back on SMGs for the majority of players as well for Team Spirit, so they might have just been their own undoing and letting FPX get some momentum, especially on this map of all the maps. So this is one we have seen this iteration of FPX play 0 times, and the last with Emmy play once, which they lost 16-4. Nice shot from Chris. He's only had a couple of kills, but they've won that granted a lot of map control. Mir's going to try and play in the smoke. Now, there's multiple players here. He's trying to wait to see if he can get a second. There is another opposition, and Sticko quick to make sure that that doesn't get away from them. Magic's just pushed all the way through long, but he has to retreat. And now, well, this leaves them in an awkward spot because they know 100% there's only one player on B.
They mollied him out. Not really much that some Young could have done in that position. Magic's is quickly wrapping around the back of them, but it's only with an MP9. And then Dexter with the AWP. Now, these similar 2 players won a 2v3 early on over on A, but Magic's has been dealt with accordingly by Farlig. He did land a dink round the corner, but only with the MP9. So it will be a kill going the way of FPX. Then another round. Dexter will make it costly. But having a quick look over to the money situation on Spirit, it's far from ideal. So unlikely they'll have a great deal to play with. And again, this is where you go back to that Stico moment, that 1v3 that Spirit kind of threw the round away. If we get into a situation where FPX pick up a head of steam and roll with 5 or 6 rounds in a row, you'd probably have to go back to that moment, Tom, and say that was pretty much it. That was where everything started to shift back in towards FPX's favor.
Yeah, and it's always been one of the main criticisms of this team is like when they have advantages, a lot of the time they just want to close things out as quickly as possible. They want to stamp their opponents out of rounds, and because of that, they do let the odd round slip. Of course, it means other rounds they're almost completely dominant. It's definitely a double-edged sword, and you can see them run away with halves. Like, look at some of the CT sides they've had on Nuke this tournament, the T sides of Infernos they've had. Like, it definitely works both ways, but also look at how many teams they've let back into matches. That's a much more worrying statistic, and it's something that definitely happened yesterday when it came to the first map of Inferno. So they definitely have to be careful. Now it is just going to be pistols alongside that AWP. Now Zen will find the first, maybe not realizing that Dexter was just around that corner, but in terms of the round, it's meaningless. The A site is falling, a single member there to defend it. And actually, Dexter is going to hit the deck with the AWP. It's whether or not somebody can actually retrieve it. Otherwise, this could end up being relatively costly because I don't know if they actually have enough money to buy another one in the next round.
It'll be very tight, that's for sure. Probably missing a few key pieces of utility at the very least. Mia with a P250. Maybe hoping for an exit frag. He only has P250, no Kevlar or anything behind it. So if he can maybe take a gun or 2 away, maybe even save an AK, that would be huge. But the fact he's being pushed by 3 players, very unlikely. As good as Mia is, that was always going to be an impossible task. 5-5, all tied up again. There will be an AWP available for Dexter if he wants it, but he has no Kevlar and can only get a smoke behind it. So they are down onto a bit of an awkward buy. Some Young going with an MP9 just so he can afford a kit and a bit of utility. But apart from that, plenty of M4s.
Still a little bit rough. And now the FPX have got themselves right back into things. You'd think that maybe Dexter would actually challenge that in a normal case, but it's not a risk really worth taking at this stage. And actually a complete change up in setup. A lot of the time, Magix has been playing towards long. It's a position he loves to battle for, but with their short aggression, with Chopper currently hiding in the smoke, waiting for them to push in, he's going to turn around and actually gets 2. The bait and switch, well, the bait was completely blind, but luckily, Chopper's there to save the day.
such a sick combination as well. It just ensures that at least one of them has the cover. If they push without flashing, Dexter gets the free AWP frag and can fall back, and then Chopper can get into action. If the flash does come through, Chopper's there to deal with it, but he still had to land that double spray, and he did so very well. Zen, though, wrapping around the back with a ton of damage down onto some Young, getting peeped by 3 players all at once as they explode out of middle. And that's the aggressive side of Team Spirit that you were talking about before, Tom. Sometimes it hurts them, but sometimes it definitely digs them out. But they have given up B site.
Yeah, this round is not over, especially with how low some of the remaining players are. Only a single kit and not a whole lot of utility. 1 player glass cannon as well. It really is an impossible Farlig. Great position, turns things back, but a nice shot from Dexter leaves it onto this man again. He's had a 1v3 already, looking for his second as he homes in on the door, but there's 2 players coming in from the tunnels he has to be a little bit wary of. The kit is still in play. Maybe that's why Some Young isn't peeking, but Sticker once again! A double leaving it onto Dexter. He'd have to run, and again, he's got no armor. Sticko could just play that time, and he's won himself the second round 1v3. Sticko is on fire, 11-6, top in the table. A phenomenal performance.
And from his reaction, you never thought anything special had happened. Like it was just a regulation play. Whereas the last 1v3 could definitely have some question marks over Spirit. This was just phenomenal by Stico. This was all his doing. Beautiful aim, well played, using the time devastatingly well against Dexter. And we just mentioned their economy was in no great shape, Spirit, to get all of the pieces they wanted. That was a 2v4 they just lost. And now they're down to pistols again. FPX are going from strength to strength.
It's always so easy to forget watching him play now that this man used to be the guy who would basically just drop guns for Oscar as like his only role within a team a lot of the time. Like, okay, he had all the supporting elements, but he is flourishing within FPX, and it is a joy to watch in the grand final of their first tournament together. Switching out in-game leaders left, right, and center, maybe learning things along the way. Can they deal with the pistols? That's the question. We know that Team Spirit always seem to have these pure BS rounds that just come out of nowhere. And Chopper has actually got Kevlar with an AK he's just retrieved. So they're going to have to be a bit careful. He's rotated into position. That's the second kill. Chopper now steps up big. He's got support behind the door as well. Oh dear, FPX, everything was going so good. Now Zen has to 1v4.
2 low players, but no control over the bombs. They can just stack middle. Each and every angle has a CT there waiting. And I've got to say, FPX, you had tons of utility there. You had flashes, you had mollies. You didn't have to dry peek out into effectively that trap. I'm so surprised by what just happened. Like this is the moment here. Watch this. One by one, they just walk through the double doors. It's always going to go the way of the CTs if they have multiple players there. FPX, you've got to throw a flash or something preceding that push.
Can't give that chance. Dexter as well. Lands the shot while blind. Doubt there's going to be much of a reface here, especially with the incendiary down to support. And we were talking about all the financial troubles, the fact that Team Spirit had made mistakes, but oh, it really is a back and forward game. It's a round that, well, if you can premise it with the fact that Team Spirit could win it, it really does show how often they do this. Some Young, since his early sort of start, he's definitely fallen flat. 3 and 9. His AWP is back into play. Zen, he's going to have to smoke that as it will spread to his position. And Chopper should have a decent idea, but Madden somewhat faked the footsteps out. Chris goes pushing through the smoke. It's been only a few frags for him, but every single one seems to be an opener into some sort of position. Dexter's going to place himself in CT, so no chance for a rotation. But again, they look to go towards this B site.
Madden obliterated down to 17 HP. Magic's not for the first time wrapping around the back of them. And Dexter finishes off Madden with the dig. 40 seconds. They're still yet to get onto the site. And Some Young, who has already picked up one with the AWP, has it trained down to tunnels. Mia's watching the doors. This would have to be quite the mistake. The Team Spirit to throw this round away. Grenade is good, and the headshot even better. And Spirit regained the lead, having only lost Chopper.
It almost looked like Subdayoung shook his head a little bit at the end of that. Like, no. This is not happening 3 times. I'm sorry. Twice is enough. Sticko, there's only so much he can do in those clutch situations. And, well, you know, he had a Galil, so I'm not going to hold him against him for not winning that one. But now is the complete change. It seems like both teams have had that same sort of catastrophe round, which has ended up destroying their own economy. I guess in a sense you could look at this and say it balances out with Team Spirit likely to be going into a lead, but if you're an FPX fan, if you're one of the players, you're probably going to be quite disappointed because Sticko has done absolutely everything to make sure you win this half. And well, unless they're about to win this round with a Deagle and a few other pistols and facing off against Magic, which I don't believe in whatsoever because this man is just unstoppable on long. He's not going to give them a chance.
4K, beautiful work by Magix, up to 13. He joins Dexter on that mark and Chopper just behind them on 12. It's a bit more top-heavy, a couple skyscrapers over on Fun plus Phoenix. Zen and Stiko leading with over 10 frags each. Very well played by Magix, and that's what he's all about. Dropping the bomb down at the end, just the cherry on top. And the last round of the half will feature no AWP for Farlig. Instead, it's the Scout. And there is a big discrepancy, I think it's safe to say, between the two AWPers. Dexter has absolutely won this battle so far. Things may very well change once the tables are turned, though, going into the second half.
It's by no doubt a done deal. We've watched Spirit throughout this game just let games slip away from them. And we've seen FPX pretty much prove us wrong at every single term. Like just look at the, well, I guess you could say look at the talent predictions for either team, because not one of us thought that this would be the grand final. Not one of us thought either of these teams would be taking the title. A brand new Team Spirit with a couple of players, one being a 6th man, FPX, a new in-game leader once again. Seems like Core 4, though, definitely has some strength to it. Zen, this time very patient, but Mir's aggression is something that I guess you should come to expect at this point. Sticko, however, was not ready for it.
Yeah, entirely shut down, and Zen had a chance to punish Mia. Walks into lower tunnels, takes down one, then Zen across him. And it looks like this 3v4 will be favoring Spirit, especially with Magix posted on the site. Good utilities tossed in, and Magix locks it down with 2, nearly with 3, but he weakens up Farlig enough that it's just the 1 bullet required. 9-6 will be the score in the halftime of our first map of the grand finals. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break.
And turns, both teams having slip-ups and both teams with ridiculous rounds that probably never should have been. A great way to start off the grand final. The question is, will Team Spirit now close out their map choice, or is there still more from FPX to come?
Role reversal in full effect. Spirit have had issues finishing off maps, I think it's safe to say, over the duration of the tournament, so we'll see if they can get it done here. The worrying thing for me, though, Tom, is out of the 6 rounds, 2 of them required Stiko to go above and beyond, one of which was a mistake from Spirit, the other of which was just pure sheer class. So if they can't rely on Stiko to consistently get these clutches, I do worry a little bit, but maybe their CT side is so much better. This is a really solid boost over towards the tunnel side here, and Chris J is actually lining up the flash, so they expect to be hit. Now, unbeknownst to Fun plus Phoenix, that's not going to be the case. Spirit are currently going to be pushing through Catwalk. This is 3 of the 5 players that are stuck over on middle to B, and the rest are now rotating through onto A site, and they're barely giving any kind of resilience whatsoever. And to make matters worse, Magix is just single-handedly pummeled long by himself, and this is going to be a 3v5 post plant, and Fun plus Phoenix are in awful positions to retake.
Yeah, the idea from FPX wasn't bad. You lost short, so you needed to try and take control of long. But unfortunately for them, Magix is still just hitting everything that walks into his path. And unfortunately, a lot of the stars that we normally talk about when it comes to FPX are falling a little bit flat. Like, I think back to the first day, Chris J, unstoppable. When we saw him on Nuke, hopefully that will come back because he's currently struggling. I think that's his 4th kill that just came up. Farlig only on 7. Madden, I think, is on 4 as well. And we normally talk about Farlig and Madden being the 2 players that can dominate, that can take over maps for this team. It hasn't been them. It's been Zen and Stiko have been the sort of glimmers of hope. when it comes to this roster. And while the fact that they just had to fall straight into a save on the pistol, I understand the reasoning behind it, but that was very, very easy for Team Spirit. In fact, it just became a retake for them almost to try and kill off some of the remaining players.
Yeah, exactly. They wanted to get rid of the Kevlar so it would be harder to upgrade to, you know, full head armor alongside some weaponry as well. We do have a scout on both teams, similar to how the first half kicked off. I mean, that is just us two in a nutshell, though. Definitely one of the best maps for bringing out the scout early on. Madden tagged, not quite fragged though, and there are 2 players up there on long, which I can't quite see right now. I'm going to assume that they get the kills. There we go. 2 fun trades. Love to see it. And now FPX, they have themselves a bit of a difficult situation, but Zen will take off the head of Mia. They're making this costly, but do keep in mind, they did, of course, fully force into this round, so making it costly isn't really good enough.
There's enough utility to, I was going to say, to get a full set of smokes, but instead they peek into the scout. Interesting decision. Now, there's a very aggressive spot coming in from Chopper, and he should have heard the footsteps coming round in towards long. So, unless it's been faked, which might be the reason he's still hanging around, and you can already see Dexter is going to reposition himself ready. It's not going to give Zen much of a chance, but definitely more costly than I think they would have liked, especially that peak at the end. I'm not really sure if that was worth the risk. I guess in their eyes, it's like, okay, we have the rifles. We're much more likely to win a duel like that, but you had the extra smoke available to you. So to not just go for the cross and get yourself a safe or after plant, makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
Not much investment here either in Spirit. They're mixing up the pace. They have the MAC-10 in the hands of Sundai Young, who's going to just go being straight into the site, shreds through Stiko. B-site falls with him. They went for a gamble stack on long. You could understand it in this kind of a situation, but it will put Spirit very likely into a 12-6 lead. Fun plus Phoenix could save a couple of these players. They do have Kevlar, but I don't think Sundai Young and Dexter are interested in that. They want to nullify as many of these players as possible. Even giving Dexter the SMG, dual purpose. One, it allows Sundai Young to play more passive and hold on to his AK. And secondly, it's more towards the ult fund of Dexter, should he kill Zen. So I do like that little switch around, that little intricate detail. And maybe Zen can hold on. He makes sure that Dexter's MAC-10 will get no more kills from this round at least. And he may be able to survive with the smoke behind him. Not one of the players with the Kevlar, so the MAC-10's not really ideal. I'd be very surprised if they even held on to the MAC-10, to be honest. But it does mean that at least Dexter has been punished and put down, and they could maybe drop an AWP to him if they want an early AWP, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just held on to full AKs.
Well, we actually can see Zen play with the MAC-10. I'm curious where he'll actually go with that. Maybe play aggressive into the tunnels, just get up close. And they do make the late decision to actually bring in the AWP, but they threw away a flashbang and left Dexter completely blind.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad they juggled the AWP to him, though. I think it's too important. This is why I'm surprised that Zen's kept on the MAC-10, though. You're in such an integral moment in this game. Like, you're eyeing up a 13-6 and a broken economy. Are you content to keep a MAC-10 knowing that it's a secondary or even a tertiary weapon in a full buy? When so much is on the line, he's gone on to short, but they've already lost Chris J. That even puts more pressure on them. I'm not sure if he can extend himself towards picking up the fallen weapon or not. But FPX are in real trouble here, Tom. They've already lost a player middle. There's still over a minute to play with, and they have no utility on Madden and barely any on Farlick.
Magic's again. I don't think he's lost a single duel towards long that hasn't been completely sort of unfavorable against him. Madden as well. The flashbang's perfect. He's been caught out all game. And while the pop flashes are working out, it's an interesting stat that in terms of utility damage, FPX actually ruled the show. But in terms of actual like pop flashes, Team Spirit are actually up there. Like, they've done quite well with how many flash assists they got throughout this tournament. A lot of the time, it just seems like they're setting up these stars to get in. Sure, a lot of the time, we'll watch them dry peek, take risks that may not be necessary, but it definitely looks like they do work together when the time is right. Stiko, again, he needs to pull off a ridiculous clutch. Now, with 20 seconds, he has managed to drop the bomb, but Mir is there to pounce from behind. And while Zen, he has managed to retrieve an AWP, something slightly better than what we saw previously on that MAC-10, but for obvious reasons, his next turn of call is to save.
may not even be afforded that luxury because some Young's already on the flank. Maybe can even pick up the secondary AWP if he can get his hands on it. Not quite. Not that they'll really care. And coming into this, FPX, they'll be calling a timeout. I mean, they could get a buy together, but I almost feel like they might want to come into a 14-6 deficit and just try and work their way back into this. One of the things is, you know, we talked about this, Tom. They said it on the desk as well. One of the more tantalizing prospects is these two young AWPers, these two star players of Farlig and Dexter. One is not like the other right now. Farlig has had a really rough game. I feel like he's had pretty much no impact.
Oh, perfect timing on the stats from Elliot. Blinding performance. Chopper is basically the third highest for flashing opponents, so makes sense. The in-game leader doing an important job. It was still probably the biggest surprise of the tournament when he was subbed out. Like, for me, that's a much bigger surprise even than Dexter. Like, to have him not on a map was very, very peculiar. And we'll have to see. Like, hopefully we get the full 5 maps in this final, and then we get to see the different avenues which Team Spirit are going to go down. Of course, going into the grand final, personally, I'd just stick with this 5. No offense to Patsy, but you want to make sure you have your best possible team out when it comes to the grand final of a tournament.
Could be quite damning, though, if that were to be the case, where Patsy effectively just gets left by the wayside. At that point, you're thinking, well, is this 6-man roster really all about changing it up and having players come and go? Or are you just sticking with 5 and then now and again maybe just have that carrot dangling over Patsy? Fact of the matter is, though, I think there's no question that this is their best 5-man roster right now in terms of performance. Zen actually holding on to the AWP, interestingly. Farlig won't be picking that up, maybe not quite confident enough to use it. And he falls back into place. 2 of them are behind the site, while the bomb is making moves through catwalk. Big peek from Zen. He'll be looking for a little bit more. Maybe they can still pull this one back, even with a lack of weaponry, but Magix finally shows his hand, and he pummels down Zen and Madden, respectively. Mia has to cross the right idea and the crosshair placement to add on top, but a 2v2 falls upon us, but not for long. Dexter's going to take that equality away, leaving Chris 1 or 2 with a deagle. 24 seconds, bomb still yet to be planted, dropped down in a bit of an awkward position, and a beautiful 1 deag onto Mia. His position now known, but the HP bar of Dexter will mean that Chris doesn't even need a headshot to win this round now. It could just be a body shot and it'll be all she wrote. 8 seconds, Dexter's going for the frag and needs to get up close, and there's Chris J. He only had 4 kills before that clutch, but each and every one of them has been so impactful.
It's been really, really weird seeing that, as you said, like every kill we've seen from Chris J seems to be an important one, like be it a trade or a quick entry pick, and now winning a 1 versus 2 clutch with a deagle. Wow, that could be the win back in the sales of FPX. They have to build off this, though, because even still, Team Spirit come in with a purchase, and straight away, Zen is gone. You do not want to face off against Dexter at this stage. He had a blinder of a performance yesterday, a bit of a whiff, and actually decides against going for the repeat, but gets a second chance. Chris is gone. Farlig keeps things even for now, but it's all been a ruse. Those 2 players pushing in seem like the play, and actually, although the B site was open, that 1 smoke thrown by Stiko has actually deterred them for now.
Yeah, it's perfectly timed. He threw it the second there was any aggression on long, and then he started to rotate towards middle, and that bought him up enough time. Spirit, this time not aggressive, and they could have had the round as a result. Easier said than done, of course. As far as they're concerned, there could have been 2 players still on B site, and they walk into an absolute massacre. They may be walking into one anyway, because Stiko is alone on B, not for long. Madden is wrapping around the back of them. That smoke is keeping them alive for the time being, but they still have no idea that Madden is here. Farlig is going to keep them interested, and now Madden can close it down and chop down. No, Sir Stiko! What? How has he spun around and killed both?
He doesn't even have a smirk on his face this time. He just pulled off something absolutely unbelievable. Like, he should have been dead, but he just looks back into the window. That is a crazy shot to connect, and I'll be honest, I think that's it done. I think we're heading into map 2 with an advantage. Was that a bit of team damage on that flick? Stiko gets tagged through the wall, but Magix also takes damage. So I think he got a little bit of a shot in the back from Dexter. And also, they won't know if they've connected onto Stiko unless they can spot the blood through the doors. So It almost just seems like he shot his teammate in the back. Oh my.
Felt a bit sad for FPX, you know. I wanted to give him a chance, Tom. But now it's business as usual. It's fragging as usual, and it's Sundai Young and Mia eviscerating FPX. And I agree. I think that was the last play, realistically, of Dust 2. I can't believe they lost that with Mad on the flank. Everything lined up perfectly for them, and they still lost out. Chris J, 1 on 4. Dexter is having none of it. Another 3 kills in his back pocket, 21 frags, big smile on his face, and why not? They have 8 map points for the first map of the grand finals.
Yeah, he's rolling with a casual 3 KD, and that's not even bearing in mind Magix is also 21 and 11. Mir is 20 and 11. These are the 3 players we focus on to really be that just incredible force. Dexter, well, it's definitely brought new life to this Team Spirit squad already. And sure, this is their map choice. Sure, this is a map that their opponents don't really play. But the style in which they've dismantled them throughout this map is impressive. Chris at least makes things interesting for this round, Vince. But it's left down to a classic 1v3 clutch.
Has been their best performing player, though. Zen has been head and shoulders above the rest of his teammates. Yes, we've had Stiko with a couple of clutches, but apart from that, he's been pretty quiet. Zen has been there more often than not, but the Finn will be fragmented. First blood in our best of 5 finals goes the way of Spirit, and they made it look easy in the end, Tom.
Yeah, there's a reason there.